This is episode 53 of Alternative Fact Chicago. This is B-Hun, back from vacation. It's been a long break, but needed. You got my girl B Chan here on the line. How you doing today, B?
What up, E? I am good. I'm glad you're back. I missed you. It wasn't even like when you were in Detroit and you would still be like on social media and doing things. You were like MIA, and I was like, it's kind of lonely out here without B. So I'm glad that you're home.
I was off the grid. I think it was definitely needed. A little break. It's actually like my first real break of 2018. It's been a very, very busy year, like with my real job and obviously doing this podcast thing. So I definitely think a break was needed, but I'm refreshed, ready to go, and ready to have a hell of an episode here today.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
We definitely got a lot to discuss. So before we do that, got a lot to talk about today. I think we should plug our social media. So mine first, of course, on Instagram as well as Twitter is bhun1984. And be with your social media.
It is Starbright312 on Instagram and Twitter.
Then Alternative Fact Chicago, you can find us always at Alternative Fact Chicago on Facebook. The likes are growing. We appreciate it. You can find our show on iTunes at Alternative Fact Chicago. Please subscribe. Please leave a review. It's very, very important. It makes our show easier to find when you leave a rating and review. So please continue to do so. We're also on Spotify at Alternative Fact Chicago. And you can find us on Podbean, Soundcloud, YouTube. And I think that's it. Actually, Google Play as well at Alternative Fact Chicago. Also, our Twitter is AFact Chicago. You can find us on Instagram as well at Alternative Fact Chicago. So we're all over the place, very engaging, and we love to hear from you, the fans. And you can email us at alternativefactchicago@gmail.com.
Oh my, that's a lot.
That is a lot, but I nailed it. I think I got it right.
I think you got it. It
There we
sounded
go.
right.
Now we had a great week, and right before, so I went to Austin, amazing vacation, went to go with all my homies, great time. If you've never been to Austin or just that whole area, it's a sight to see. The city of Austin is amazing. There's a lot of water out there. You know, we went to like New Braunfels, had a house on the lake, amazing time, but I'll talk about that later. But before that, we actually got to go and attend, which we've talked about a lot, Glap and Nova. It was an amazing event. I'm going to let B Chan give a little rundown here on the event because I thought it was great. But what's your thoughts, B?
Oh, Nova was incredible. We attended the first night this year in Chicago. The Nova Showcase was 3 nights. We were part of the first night. As we've mentioned previously, we were asked to moderate a podcast panel. It was incredible. We were joined by other podcasters representing 2 other podcasts with all kinds of different experience in podcasting, from production to putting out a podcast to working, writing for a podcast. So all kinds of things like that. But what was amazing was before our part, we were able to take part of the Nova experience and listen to other panel sessions and see what other people were doing. And that's the part that was really moving to me. Before we went on, we saw a panel that was being put on that was about the cost of segregation and what was being done throughout the city of Chicago and what that really meant in terms of a financial impact on residents and the city and jobs, things like that. Super interesting, super engaging. It is such a cool experience to see people who are so passionate and so educated with so much expertise in their subject matter kind of share the stage with each other and with the quote unquote audience, because it's so interactive. So I loved it. Huge thanks to Nick Brown and Glap Nova for having us out. I know we'll have more information going forward because I know they're looking to do some different things, including having more pop-up type events so that they can do this throughout the year and not just be a one-time thing in each city. So of course, as that happens and that information comes out, we'll have information about it because we're really passionate about what they're doing to bring different people together to share ideas. And it was just awesome. What did you think, babe?
I had a great time, and I even got to talk to Nick a little bit after. We're going to talk some more here soon, but he said that the second and the third day as well, it was a 3-day event. All went great, different types of people there each and every night. Solid turnout. Like you said, I agree. Just the fact that it's so interactive, very engaging. The audience gets involved, so you're not just standing there listening to the presenters the whole time. I think that's probably the best aspect that they have for Glap and Over. Just a good time. The drinks were flowing. Just good people there. And I like for our section, we had people that were genuinely interested in podcasting and people just who really didn't understand or know the industry, we got to give our takes on being able to explain the industry, how it works, how you can make money off of it, sponsorships, how you gain listeners. There were people that were really intrigued, and just goes to show that the industry is growing, and we're definitely in the right field right now. So shouts out to Kelly Opalco. She was there. She was one of the moderators. She was on the panel session with us. And then to Boulevard Ave Radio. They did a great job, very honest answers. Make sure you support their podcast as well. They're doing great work here for the city of Chicago, and we'll definitely be doing more work with Glap and Nova here very, very soon.
They were fantastic. B, should we tell them? I'm going to tell them how I fell. I still have a bruise on my knee.
Yeah, I think we got to share this story. So I'll just say to start. So we were late to start the panel session. I think it was supposed to start at 9:30. So we had to do an interview right before then. So I did my interview outside. I come back in. The audience is waiting. The other presenters are there waiting to get the session started. So of course B's out there. B Chan's out there. She talks a lot, so she's probably talking way too long in her interview. It's just way past 9:30, probably like 9:35, 9:36 at this point. We're all sitting there waiting for her. So I'm like, you know what? I'll get started. Like, we can't wait for her. She'll be here in a second. So I get started with the panel session. I'm interviewing, like we're going. I'm doing the introduction, and then what happens? B, what were you doing out there?
Okay, first of all, as soon as it was in a beautiful space, a place called Moonlight Studios. It was beautiful. It's like really cool down this alley. It's like exposed brick, but there's crystal chandeliers. I mean, amazing space. And I was wearing flat shoes, P.S. And as soon as we walked in, I was like, wow, the combination of my shoes and the floor was like kind of slippery. Like as soon as we got there, I'm like, it's kind of slick in here. One room was like kind of like a painted cement. The other room was like hardwood. It was kind of slippery. So we had a couple drinks. P.S. I only had like 2 drinks. And after my interview, which I was not talking too much, I was simply answering the questions that were asked of me. I'm like, oh, shoot, they're getting started. So I'm like, quickly trying to hurry into the room without like being a crazy person. And Nick Brown, the guy who puts it on, is in the room I'm in. And I'm walking and I fall.
Bit it.
Fall. I'm wearing a dress. Not a good look. I was like, all I could think was, these people are going to think I'm drunk, which I wasn't.
Sure, you were.
So that was my biggest concern, is I don't want these people to think I'm here drunk doing this. I'm not drunk. I'm just clumsy. Anybody who knows me knows I'm just clumsy. But it was funny. We got a good laugh out of it. And you have to be able to laugh at yourself.
And then while I'm starting the show, I see this out the corner of my eye. One of the guys from Boulevard Ave Radio, he sees it out the corner of his eye. But of course, as we're starting to, go through our show, we got to act like it didn't happen, because the crowd that was watching us couldn't see it. So, their heads were turned, so they didn't see it. So we had to act like nothing was going on. But in my mind, I was dying the whole time. I was like, I cannot believe she just fell. But you played it off. You got in, you got into the seat, and you did the show without a hitch. So kudos to you for that.
It was fun. You got to be able to laugh. We had an awesome time.
Absolutely.
So.
Shouts out Glap and Nova. Shouts out Nick Brown. We'll be doing more work in the future. But in the future, Glap and Nova is expanding. When it gets to your city, make sure you check it out. It's definitely a worthwhile event.
Absolutely.
But now, I think we should get to the fan of the week really quick, right?
We have to.
We got more shirts coming in, so we're going to be giving shirts out soon to our fan of the week listeners. So be on the lookout for that. But this one is one of my homies from the past. Has always listened to the show from the very beginning, from its inception. And, this past week he sent out a picture which, had our podcast up with, some of the big boys of the industry, like Brilliant Idiots, Joe Budden Podcast, the Bodega Boys, that's Jesus Samero, and, said, our podcast is up there, with those guys, and he listens every week just along with those shows. So it was a pretty cool sight to see, just, our logo up with those, just to show that people really appreciate our work, like to do theirs, and we do have a long way to go, but we can be right there with those podcasts soon. So definitely want to give a shout out to my homie Gandy. He's on Twitter at G_Dynamo. That's DYNAMO. He is our Alternative Fact Chicago fan of the week. Been a great listener. He's a funny guy. Make sure you follow him on Twitter. He's very engaging. He's a comedian too, so you'll like what he has to say. But what's your thoughts on that, B?
Shout out to Gandy, who I then said, when he had us up with those guys, I said, clearly you need some more ladies in your podcast life. He said he listened to one, and I don't remember now. It was another podcast with ladies, and he said it was about all he could handle, which I said was fine. I don't want to get bumped out in favor of like one more female, so that's fine. But it's awesome. We love to know that you're listening. Thank you, Gandy, for letting us know that you're listening. Thank you for listening. Keep letting us know what you think. You are our fan of the week.
Absolutely. So that's a great intro. It's been a lot going on. Ready for vacation. I got a lot to talk about today. So you think we should get into it or what?
We better get into it or we'll be here all night. So this topic that we're going to start with is funny because as I came on the show, a lot of times Bihan would kind of have to tell me things about things I might want to tweet, maybe on behalf of the podcast, maybe on behalf of myself. And he kind of looked at things from a broader spectrum that I might have naturally as just a regular person. So this is funny. So in the news over the last week or two, there have been all kinds of people under fire for old tweets that have come out. So a couple of the people most recently, and so we want to kind of talk about how old tweets impact people once they get a little bit more famous, once they get a little bit more of the spotlight, and really how silly is it to be tweeting these things? And if you've known you've tweeted these things in the past, how have you not either completely deactivated your account, gotten rid of them before people can screenshot them? I don't know. So first was the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn, who was fired by Disney this week. He had tweets going back as far as 2009. And I'm not going to get into the things that he said, but they were tweets that were explicitly sexual, specifically involving children and animals. And so you can go look it up if you'd like. I'm not reading them. But he came under so much fire that Disney felt it was appropriate to fire, no pun intended. So he will no longer be working for them or Marvel or whoever does Guardians of the Galaxy. Yep. Also, Josh Hader, the pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers, came out that he had tweets going back to 2011 and 2012 when he was 17 years old, tweeting things about the KKK, white power, using the N-word, and that he hated gay people. And as those tweets came out, he came under some public scrutiny, yet the next night that he was pitching in Milwaukee, he returned to a standing ovation of the Brewers fans. And most recently, which was just yesterday or the day before, was a girl named Lindsay O'Kay, who's a reporter for USA Today's Ravens Wire, the Baltimore Ravens. And she had tweets going back to 2010 and 2012 using the N-word, using gay slurs, and tweeting things that were offensive about Asians. The Ravens Wire has not come out and commented on their stance on what she said, but her last article was posted June 16th of this year. So we'll wait to see if anything happens because of that. So B, with those just being the most recent things, we know this happens a lot. Those most recent, what do you think about people as they're coming under more spotlight? What should they be doing about their social media if they know they've made problematic statements in the past?
So this is a tough call, and I was doing a lot of research on this before I wanted to give my opinions on this. So I was trying to think of like, say back maybe 2011, 2010, 2009, 2008, maybe not even so much on Twitter, but even like Facebook, like some of the things that I used to say or talk about back then, you really didn't think that you would be in this moment now to where you're almost a public figure of society, even on mind level or, you know, a real celebrity level or anything like that to where it can be used against you. You don't really think about that at the time. And what I fear for a lot of these comments that I'm seeing right now, whether it applies to now or not, is the fact that they were all old tweets from years ago. And whether these people have grown up now or not from these doesn't make it right or wrong. It just says that it's just, honestly, it's a really long time ago. And we have to really kind of, you know, worry, is our past going to always affect us to now? And if the answer is yes, then you just got to be careful about what you tweet even now. You just don't know what's going to happen in the future. Recently, I was actually debating with one of my friends on Twitter, and he is just all over the place with his tweets. He says what he wants, how he wants. And I messaged, I was like, bro, you never, like, say, for example, hypothetically speaking, just say for one random reason, you get famous one day, like your life may change, you're a public figure. Like, what are people going to think about all these tweets? Because you know for a fact that they're going to see them. And his dead answer was, I'll just deactivate my account. And I thought about it, I was like, man, he's actually smart. He actually knows like what may happen. So that kind of person is actually smart about it and may think for the future. But what if those tweets get taken before you deactivate your account? It's just something to think about. other people, I guarantee people, like say there's some high school kid right now, some kid in college right now that could be a famous athlete one day. They have no idea that their life's going to turn that way, and they're just all over the place with their tweets. I see things on Twitter all the time. It's a very gray area. Me personally, I think your past shouldn't be used against you to where you are now, especially if you aren't saying those things now. But I can see where it may get taken out of context and that you may be guilty. In regards to the Josh Hader thing, it's ridiculous, some of the comments that he made about the KKK. Like, he may have those feelings now. Hopefully not. But you're always going to look at that person a little bit different for those comments that were made to know this guy may be a little bit racist, and you may just look at him a little bit different. Very weird that Milwaukee gave him a standing ovation. I thought it was complete bogus and bullshit that they did that, but maybe they're supporting their player. I don't know. It's not something that I would have done. But I think overall, we're just in a day and age that no matter what, how old you are, you need to watch what you say, watch what you tweet, because it may get used against you. But I think people should not be getting fired for some of their comments. I think it's bogus, but it's just the time that we're in. But what's your thoughts, B?
I agree to some extent, and I think it depends on really what those tweets are. I know that in the time that I was going to college, coming out of college, looking for a job is when Facebook was a lot bigger than Twitter, and it was very well known. You know what? Don't put provocative pictures on Facebook. Don't put pictures of you out binge drinking on Facebook, because you might be looking for a job someday and somebody's going to look you up and see those pictures. I think Twitter's different and always felt safer because it feels more anonymous, because it wasn't like Facebook was where you had to use your real name. I don't know if you still do or how, what's changed.
Right.
But back then it was like your real name. I don't think people else were private like they are now. It was just different when it first came out, and Twitter didn't feel that way. So I've always been careful in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But as you're saying with Twitter, now you're not going to be anonymous if you become a public figure. So I think what's concerning is, what is it? Is it a picture of you binge drinking? Okay, that can be explained away with the fact that, okay, you were 20 or 21 and people do that, right? But if the comments that you've made are disgusting sexual comments about children or racially motivated hate speech, those things can't be explained away by you shouldn't have tweeted it. Because if you didn't agree with it or you didn't feel that way or have some kind of sick sense of humor, you wouldn't have said it to begin with. So I think there's a difference there, and certainly I think we should all be a little more careful about the things that we say when we're putting it in writing. As your friend said, you can deactivate, but haven't helped you if somebody has a whiff of the fact that you might be famous or they don't like you and they want to screenshot that before anything goes down. So there is no, things live forever. In the digital age, there is no thinking that things are gone. Nothing is ever really gone. So I think we just have to be mindful of that.
It's crazy. It happens a lot. Like, I feel like a lot of people's old tweets and comments, and even just like all the sexual assault cases, from the past with everyone that's getting tied up with it. It seems like everyone's past is starting to get caught up to now. So I don't remember that ever happened like in the 2000s or even early like 2010, 2011, 2012. I don't remember people's past getting brought up. Now I feel like 2017, 2018, it's happening almost every day to where you're kind of screwed if you ever said anything. And I was like, back in my college pictures and things like that, people used to always say, hey, don't put up any type of pictures because employers may see it. Didn't really care. And honestly, it never really affected me getting a job after college, so it doesn't matter. But it's kind of one of those things to think that you never know when your life may change. You never know. You may look up one day and you have $100 million and you're famous. And it happens to people all the time. So it's a great area to think about. Like I said, my point is, I don't think you should be getting fired off slips you said 8, 9, 10 years ago. I really don't think so. But clearly it's happening. And if with the age of the internet always wins. And if social media wants you out, a company's going to put you out. And that's that.
Well, that's it. They're not being fired because their employer is morally above what they're saying. They're being fired because their employer, in these case businesses, whether it's Disney or whoever, is more concerned that you're going to do more damage to their brand than not. So everyone is expendable. Everyone is replaceable. And we have to remember that.
That's kind of what I've learned. Yeah, you can be replaced one day and then gone the next. Like, just that fast it'll happen.
Absolutely.
Let us know your thoughts, though. We kind of want to talk about that because we've seen it happen more and more often. And we just kind of want to get your thoughts. So make sure you tweet us. We'll put a topic up about it and that on Facebook because we want to hear your thoughts too. Like, do old tweets really affect like people's career now? We're seeing it with comments like with Charlamagne. We'll talk about later. But it seems just to be happening more and more. And it's a big problem. So please, people, watch what you tweet. Watch what you say. You never know what it'll be used against you.
That's right.
Let's get in our sponsorship break. B, you got it this time?
I got it this time. I got it.
I got some water. You practice. You good to go?
You gave me a hard time because I
I
tripped
got
over
you.
my words a little. You made me feel really bad about myself.
Oh,
But
stop
today,
it.
today I am back and I'm ready.
There we go. Let's do it.
This part of our show is sponsored by Posh by Imani. Get poshed. Looking for the latest and trending in women's fashion? Shop today at Posh by Imani, catering to all curves, sizes 0 to 3X. Free 2-day shipping now until the end of the year. PoshByImani.com. Come get served. Find us on Twitter at Posh by Imani. That's PoshByImani.
There you go. See, that was perfect.
Thank you. A little practice.
There we go. Now, shouts out, to what's her real name? I always forget sometimes.
I know because I always in my head call her Imani, which is not Imani. And if you look her up, it's actually a really amazing story. Imani is actually her daughter's middle name.
That's what I thought.
Yes, her daughter's middle name. And now you put me on the spot because I do not remember her first name because in my head she's always Imani. That's how I thought of her. But we'll find out. But she is doing amazing things down in Texas. It is an online clothing boutique for women and juniors. But she is getting out there. She is networking. She is marketing. She is branding herself down in, I think, the Houston area. So definitely representing for the ladies, for women-owned businesses, for Black-owned businesses. So if you are in the Houston, Texas area, you can get out and work with her. Otherwise, you can find her online, and she's doing amazing things.
There you
and
go.
We're really excited to partner with her.
I do see her all over social media on Instagram and Twitter. So that's great.
Yeah.
What else we got? I know you're ready to talk about some football. I know it's not NFL, but college football. But we're getting closer to the season.
College is better than no football, so let's do it.
You're more of an NFL person, right?
I am.
But you'll be able to hang. So for the fans, who is your college football team?
Okay, so I always say I'm like a college free agent. Like my college football team, my heart, where I went to school, Northern Illinois Huskies. Obviously, they're on a smaller scale and a lower tier, MAC 10. I know against your like little CMU guys, but they're on a smaller scale. On a bigger scale, I'm kind of a Florida State girl. So
okay,
that's kind of where I go. But like I said, I'm not where for me. In most sports, if I have a team, they're my team. College, I just I'm a free agent. I don't know. I find players I like. I have teams I cheer for, teams I absolutely don't like. But for the most part, yeah. I don't know.
Well, I'm a big Go Blue fan, Michigan fan. Everyone knows that. So hopefully we'll have a great season. I'll be talking about Michigan football a lot, so you'll just have to deal with it. But
I'll take it. I like anytime we can talk about Jim Harbaugh, so I'm on board.
You're a Jim Harbaugh fan?
I wouldn't say a fan.
He knows his stuff, though.
I'm a fan of him. I don't dislike him. I'm a fan of. He's interesting to me. I enjoy him. I think he's a funny character. So I think he brings a lot of entertainment to it. So I like that.
And I love his honesty, and he'll have a hell of a sleepover with you. Definitely. He'll have a sleepover with your whole family. All of that. But he's a hell of a recruiter. Means. I will give him that.
Okay.
But speaking of, they had the Big Ten football media conference this week. And he was one of the main proponents of this topic. Also with Scott Frost, he's a new coach for Nebraska. As the talk of expanding college football playoff came up, Jim Harbaugh, always super, super honest, said 100%. The college football playoff should be extended from 8 and then to get to 16. Scott Frost made a lot of points saying, why there's definitely a need to go from 4 to 8 teams in the college football playoff. So let's talk about this with the season coming up. Obviously, it's not going to happen this year. It will be another 14 playoff. But going forward, do you like the concept of college football going from 4 to 8 or even 16 teams? What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, it absolutely has to be expanded. So when they instituted the college football playoffs in 2014, I don't think anyone thought at that point 4 teams was where it needed to stop. I think everyone thought 4 teams was a good place to start.
Right.
But that over time it needed to be expanded. I personally think it needs to go to 8 teams. I don't think it needs to go to 16. I think you can kind of find a balance because, okay, so first of all, for those who don't follow college football, there are 5 Power 5 conferences. So at the very least, I believe that someone from each of those conferences should be represented in the playoffs. So at the very least, you should have 5 teams, which is where I kind of go to 8 teams. I don't think you should stop at 5, although some people will make an argument for the top seed to have a bye and go from there. I think 8 teams is a good place. I think that the people who are against expanding it believe that it devalues the importance of regular season games. And that's why I think 8 teams is kind of a good balance between devaluing the regular season, but also making sure that the best team has the best chance to win the championship. So we've seen flaws in the 4-team system, and that's going to happen. And that even happens in any sport. And I don't think you want to go to 16 teams where you're adding so many more games and you're adding so many more teams to it that you can have a 3-loss team make the playoffs. I don't think we want to do that. I think 16 is taking it too far. I think 8 is good. But what is really interesting is I think sometimes you want to look at it from the player's perspective. So as you add postseason games and as you add more teams to the playoffs, basically you're going to end up bringing in more money for the schools and nothing for these players who are ultimately risking their body and injury every game they go out and play. Yep. And in 2017, CBS Sports did a poll. They asked college football players from Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, and Washington, and 60% of those players said they thought that the 4-team system was the right number. So that was interesting. Right. You think of these young people as being so competitive. They all want a chance to get into a playoff, and I'm sure they do. But there's also a sense of kind of keeping your body healthy, as we've seen players who choose not to play in bowl games going into the NFL and things like that, kind of keeping themselves and their body as fresh and as healthy as they can, because that's their livelihood. So I think it's interesting. Kind of to know where the players might be coming from versus the schools, who of course want it because they're going to bring in more money. The NCAA should want it because it's going to bring in more money, but you don't want to devalue the regular season. So for me, 8 games is a perfect place, and I hope that they get there soon. What do you think?
Good thoughts right there. Especially that stat about the players saying that 4 teams was enough was very, very telling. I thought that they would want more games to have more of a chance to win a championship. But I think the biggest reason why not even the players, but a lot of coaches may not want to extend this is just the fact that it's going to extend the season. Like before, the season was 10 games, and then it went to 12 games, and a lot of teams go to 13 games, and some even be at 14 games. And you think for a college player when you're starting in August, it's a really long time to have to commit to playing football, especially with them not getting paid. Like obviously in the NFL, these guys are getting paid to do this, but if you're asking these college kids to go out, put their bodies on the line to make no money, to get a stipend, to go play 14, 15 games, to get a trophy and a pat on the back, it's saying a lot. It's saying a lot out of these guys, so you got to think of that. But me, as a fan, the reason I would say I would love an 18 tournament or even a 16-team tournament is because when you think of college basketball, the NCAA tournament, the 64-team or whatever, 68 teams, however many they have right now, it's the best couple weeks of all of the season in regards to sports. Just the intensity, all the games, you bet on them, you do brackets. I think if you start to have a bracket for a 16-team tournament and, for college football or even an 8-team tournament, just the fun that it will create, some of the matchups that it can create. For example, if they had an 18 tournament in the 2016 season, we would have gotten a rematch between Michigan and Ohio State, just how the seasons would have played out. Even Western Michigan, as a G5 rep, would have been the 8th seed there. Even last season, obviously UCF, who didn't make it, obviously because they were a smaller school, could have made it as a G5 rep. So it's just more opportunities for teams that wouldn't normally make it, just to give them a shot. You can get some great rematches, great matchups, and I think overall just add an added element of surprise and intensity to college football will be great. You can set it up to a way where it won't extend the season any longer. You can start the tournament in early December, have the semifinals before a bowl game, and the championship a week or two later. This is how they did, this year. So there's definitely ways to do it. I think it'll be awesome. 4 teams is kind of like a warm-up because every year there's still 3 or 4 more teams that deserve to make it. You're given a bigger chance, and there's no guarantee that the best team will come out of it. And overall, there's more money for everyone. But they got to think of the factor, if they go to 8 or 16 teams, back to my notion, pay the players. I'll say that till I'm blue in the face. They make too much money for the organization and for these schools not to get paid. But other than that, I'm all for it. Why not have more football?
I agree. More football.
We'll see. I think for sure it's definitely going to happen. I think
It
it's just
is.
only a matter of time until that happens. But it just seems to be the way college football is going to be headed. If they can make more money, they're definitely going to do it.
Absolutely. And I think it's great. I do. I just think that the balance is important. And that's what sets college football separate than the NFL, honestly, is every game really does matter. And as an NFL fan over a college football fan, that's one of the things I love about college football versus the NFL is knowing that every game really matters. That's much more exciting. And so I understand not wanting to lose that.
Right.
So I think there's a way to find the balance, and that's what they should be doing.
And even then, like if you have 8 teams, that's not that many teams in all the college football teams. A lot of teams still
No.
won't make it. So it really is still
Yeah.
going to be the best 8 elite teams. And then there'll be a debate that number teams 9, 10, 11 should have made it. Of course, it'll always be
Always.
that way. But I think it's more
Always.
of a realistic view of who the best teams are as opposed to just 4.
I agree.
Awesome. So, actually, the good thing, I did read a fun stat. This is the very last weekend for the rest of 2018 where there's no football on between college and pro. That's
It's
amazing.
fantastic. It is amazing. We just need cool weather and some hoodies, and we are ready to go.
This is like the dog days of summer in regards to sports because on ESPN all week, all we talked about is LeBron James and his team, like the Expendables or something like that. Like they have nothing to talk about right now.
No, can you imagine? No, if you had to be on ESPN right now covering this, they don't even like it.
No.
Talk about golf, like with tennis, like forget it. Like
a lot of the main hosts aren't even there; they're on
disrespect,
vacation right now.
as they should be. But it's coming. Our time is coming, and I cannot wait.
This next topic is a big one that a lot of people really haven't covered or haven't talked about yet. So I definitely want to mention it. Obviously, with it being summertime, it's festival season. One more full month, really, of festivals before we wrap up for the fall here. But this story is actually a big one. I definitely want to get your thoughts on this. So, big festival in Philadelphia, Made in America, huge festival that Jay-Z puts on. It's been wildly successful. They have great acts there for the past, 6+ years. But what came out about a week ago was that the mayor of Philadelphia and the city of Philadelphia has decided that after this year, they're going to evict Made in America from the city. Like they're going to no longer have the festival at this event. The bogus part about it, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this, anyone who's listening, is that they didn't even contact Jay-Z, have a meeting with them, explain why. They released this over social media and a press release, and that was that. In regards that the festival has made over $100 million for the city of Philadelphia for the last 6 years, and this will be the very, very last year. What the hell is the city of Philadelphia doing? What's going on here? B, I got to get your thoughts on this story.
I looked and looked and looked to try to find an angle to figure out what could be going on. And I don't know the angle. So as you said, what was most outrageous was it came out, not even to Jay-Z, but announced in the media before Jay-Z knew. So Jay-Z penned a letter kind of with his frustration of what was going on. As you mentioned, that it had brought in over $100 million. It also, the festival has paid over $3.4 million in rent to the city of Philadelphia. They employ more than 1,000 Philadelphians each day of the festival, and 85% of their partners during the festival are Philly-based companies. Okay, so there are a lot of good things going back to the city because of this. However, I have no clue what the issue is, and in fact, now they've kind of backtracked.
Yep.
The mayor kind of backtracked saying that they hope that they can resolve the misunderstanding. We had talked about this year. It comes up, I think it's over Labor Day, right? The festival.
It's coming up soon.
This year, supposed to be headlined by Meek Mill. So we were talking about kind of the Meek Mill connection. Well, I went back and looked, and we know the issue with that judge in the case. There doesn't seem to be an issue with the mayor and Meek Mill. When Meek was in jail in April, the mayor went to meet with him while he was in prison, or jail. I guess he was in jail. The mayor went to meet with him while he was in jail. A spokesperson for the mayor came out saying that Mayor Kenny believes that Meek will better serve the community outside of jail, and it highlights the urgent need for criminal justice reform. So the mayor is on board with those sorts of things. So I don't know. Honestly, I know you hate when I say I don't know. I can't find an angle for what Philadelphia is thinking or why they're going this route. The only thing I can think of is it seems like 6 years ago when the festival started, the city was really in need of a boost in tourism and things like that over this holiday. It seems to have come, and maybe they think now they don't need this any longer and they can go a different direction. But it just seems crazy to me. What do you think?
So my only theory is this, and it happened out of nowhere. It happened this week. Obviously, Meek Mill's headlining this year, and there could be another Meek Mill rally, and go Meek, and that could be a big issue for all the politicians there, because right now everything that's going on in Philadelphia as a city, in regards to their politics, with the judge in the Meek Mill case, it's a mess. And they don't know what's going to happen. This is just my theory. I have no idea if this is accurate or not. But it's kind of what I see from a big picture. I feel like coming into this festival, they're going to be on high alert. They don't know what's going to happen at this festival, what type of message Meek Mill may send, what's going to go on between other artists right now, what's going on in Philadelphia. So maybe, obviously, it's too late to cancel for this year, but it's just one of those things where, yes, they made a lot of money for the city of Philadelphia, a lot of political issues right now. They may have just made an executive decision and say, hey, we really don't need this over our head. Let's just make this the last year. We don't know what's going to happen for years going forward. It's made us a lot of money, and right now we need to bow out. That's kind of the only reason why I'm like, why the hell would they do this? It's wildly successful. That's like if they brought a festival to Chicago, or like just all of a sudden just cancel Lollapalooza out of the blue with all the money that it brings to Chicago. You'd be like, what the heck? What? Why? You know what I mean? It just, honestly, it really doesn't make sense. So a lot of crazy things are going on in Philadelphia. Obviously, they can't even get this judge off the Meat case. Like they really just can't do it. Like, how can one person not get taken off the case? She's not the president of the United States. So that's another story for another day. But something's really going on where you can't even give Jay-Z the heads up. It's kind of bogus. But the good thing about the festival, it'll get picked up by another city. It's wildly successful. I think the city of Milwaukee was even saying, have it here. There's tons of other cities that would love to pick up that festival. I think it'll be okay. But Philadelphia, you almost got clown in the week, because what the heck are you doing? It's a great festival. They have a great lineup. It seems to get put on very well each and every year. So I think it's bogus that they're actually just going to cancel it out of nowhere.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I imagine since they're backtracking, it looks like Philly may end up trying to keep it, but I don't see Jay-Z going for that at this point. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Good find on that story.
If they already canceled it, they're not going to backtrack and say, "Oh, well, now you can come back and stay." I'm sure Jay-Z's already like, "All right, we're done."
Yeah, we'll see.
That's crazy.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun,
Good
dun.
find.
We'll stay
Good
on that
find.
story, though, if something else happens. But I think that's a crazy thing for one of the better festivals to just get not even canceled, evicted was their word. It's pretty crazy.
It is pretty crazy, but that's enough about Philadelphia. Let's move on to the greatest city in the country.
Everything Chicago?
Everything Chicago.
Love our city. So we got a big announcement first. This is a good one, B. Let's do it.
Yeah, so we teased this on the last show that we did together 2 weeks ago about wanting to partner with Chicago schools. And so we have partnered with Christopher House to do a fundraising event that will basically help the educators there supply school supplies for their classroom that typically they can't get with their school budget. So it's things like markers, different math tools, all kinds of different things. And so we're working with Christopher House, who put together an Amazon wish list of different items that they can use. And this helps them, as the teachers themselves, not have to go out and buy these things for their classrooms, which, when you think about the amount of money that our teachers are making, for them to spend their own funds to go buy these things for these kids to learn is just ridiculous. And so we want to help in any way we can. A little bit about Christopher House. It is a K-6 group of schools. This is what they say about themselves. Christopher House is a family of schools that helps low-income, at-risk families succeed in school, the workplace, and life. Through our unique and innovative approach, we're effectively closing the opportunity gap through a continuum of personalized education with immersive family support starting at birth. So they're doing awesome things in our city. There are multiple schools that are a part of this group. And so we are so honored to be working with them, helping kids in our community. All of our social media, you can find a link for the Amazon wish list. Amazon does not make it easy. It's not like a short little link or a name we can give you. It's a million letters and numbers. So if you are not on social media, but you're looking for that, you can email us at alternativefactchicago@gmail.com. We can get you the link for the Amazon wish list. Or if you have any questions about it, email us. Please reach out to us on social media. It's so easy to go on. You can get a box of $9 markers and have it sent directly to them. It's totally private. It'll be shipped right to the representative of the school. They'll have that to work on the kids, and I know they're really appreciative.
It's an amazing thing to do, and we've always wanted to make sure we give back to the city of Chicago and just give back overall, honestly, just whether Chicago or anywhere in the country. We do this podcast for a reason, not just to be a podcast, but to help out in all ways possible. So, with our reach, we hope this is very successful. There's a lot of unfortunate kids that don't get the things they need to get to be able to go back to school and be able to do school well, have all the supplies that they need and books that they need. So it's cool that we're able to help out. Very honored to be able to help out. And, we put posts all over social media. It's gotten a lot of great feedback. I've even had people personally reach out to me and already donate money. So please, if you're able to help out, I think it's a great cause. We got to help the kids get back to school this year. So if you have questions, we have put pictures up as well with the links of where you can go on Amazon. Also, you can always, like Brittany just said, always just email us at alternativefactchicago@gmail.com, and we can help you out with that. But I think it's a great feat, exciting feature, and obviously we may not be the only podcast to ever do that, but we're definitely one of the first, so don't forget that.
Don't forget that. No, and it's awesome. And that's what it was, just an amazing opportunity to think the amount of listeners that we have and the reach of so many good people out there who want to do good things, but sometimes don't know where to start. And so sometimes it's overwhelming. You have a good heart. You want to give back. Maybe you don't have $30 to go buy something, but maybe you have $5 and that's all it takes. And so we want to help with our reach, find people who want to help, and together everybody wins. So thank you to Christopher House for allowing us to do this.
Shouts out to them.
Yes. Okay. What else you got, B?
This one, so in more Chicago news and stories, this one's pretty crazy because, I go from the city to O'Hare. I take flights all the time, and it could take a good solid 45 minutes to an hour, whether you drive, take an Uber, or obviously take the train, take the Blue Line. So it's been approved. I know they've been working on this for a while, and if you haven't heard this story, Google it on Urban Matter or anywhere else you want. But there's this thing called Elon Musk, Elon Musk, is going to get Chicagoans from the Loop to O'Hare in just 12 minutes.
Well, Elon Musk is the guy.
What's that?
Elon Musk is the guy.
Oh, he's a guy. I thought it was.
Yes.
I thought it was.
Yeah. I'm like, hold on. You're like, there's this thing called Elon Musk.
Oh my God!
I don't like to interrupt you, but I got to set the record straight. Elon Musk, he's like an inventor.
That's amazing.
He's the one. He put together that little, it was like a submarine kind of thing to kind of help rescue those kids in the cave in Thailand. Yeah, he's like an inventor, and his company is called the Boring Company.
I did see that.
Okay, Elon Musk is the man.
That's hilarious.
So continue, B.
Sorry, guys, don't listen to me. I just say things out my ass sometimes, but I try. But the crazy part, so the Block 37, it's like a shopping area downtown Chicago. I guess a lot of it's just not being used right now, which I did know since I go through it sometimes. But basically, they're going to create, a super station to where it allow, I think, a series of 16 passenger automated vehicles to move back and forth at speeds to potentially up over 100 miles per hour, which can get you from downtown to O'Hare in just about 12 minutes. And then also, these cars are expected to leave as frequently as every 30 seconds and operate for up to 20 hours a day, making them that much easier to get to and from the city. Sounds like an amazing, amazing idea. Tickets will be anywhere from like $20 to $25 for a one-way ticket. But it sounds dangerous as hell. Like, would you want to be one of the first people in this, or what?
I don't want to be on it, but I want everyone else to, because when I'm coming downtown to record, like that stretch, I'm always like texting you or calling you when I'm in that stretch by O'Hare, like it is going to take me forever because there's so much traffic and I hate this city. And so I don't want to ride it, but I want everybody else to ride it so that I can drive on the road and not be in so much traffic.
I hear that. It's a dope idea. It's an amazing idea, but going 100 miles an hour just sounds a little scary. I mean, I want to go like after a few months after there hasn't been any accidents, because I feel like it may get screwed up here and there. Just going that fast sounds a little bit crazy, but if I can get to the airport in 12 minutes or less, I'm all for it. I think it'll help out, but I got to make sure I get there safe. I got a lot of things to do in my life still.
It's a really exciting, awesome idea, though. So if it comes out and it happens and it works, that'll be a really cool thing for the city.
Absolutely. What else we got?
Okay, so as we know, recently over the 4th of July holiday, I think, there had been protests that shut down the Dan Ryan Expressway in Chicago. And most recently now, there's speculation that there's going to be another protest taking place on August 2nd, where the activists plan to shut down Lakeshore Drive in support of a movement for anti-violence. So it's come out that this group that's called the Coalition for a New Chicago And violence interrupters plan to march on Lakeshore Drive near Belmont Avenue and proceed all the way to Wrigley Field beginning at 4 p.m. on August 2nd. This is also the same day that the Chicago Cubs have a home game at 7 o'clock. So obviously,
Wow.
don't get wrong what I'm saying. Protesting violence and things like that is far more important than a baseball game, but a bit concerning that they're planning to do this, shutting down Lakeshore Drive all the way to Wrigley, and the timing of that game. What might happen because of it? If it's a good plan, if it's good timing, what do you think, B?
I think it's crazy that they're planning to do that right before a baseball game. I do think that there's still time for that to get canceled or changed, or the city saying, absolutely not, you can't do that. I mean, obviously, a ton of people take Lakeshore to get there. It's just going to cause a nightmare. It could end up being a bigger problem than they think. And I'm all for activists, marching, supporting. They had one recently, I think, last week, on the South Side as well too. I'm all about it. The problem is, and where I get a little bit concerned is the marching. Is it actually working? I read reports, I was out of town, but I read reports that over 30-plus people were shot in Chicago once again this past weekend. It's happened, weekend after weekend, summer after summer. We know where it is. So it's just like, what's really working? And I applaud everyone that's still out, still marching. Please keep doing that. If that's going to help you feel better or to try to stop the violence, by all means do it. But what's really working here? It just seems like there's still a lot of problems going on. So I don't know if that day if it's going to help or anything. I have absolutely no idea, but it is going to cause a traffic mess, a big traffic jam, and I'm sure the city of Chicago will shut that idea down and make them reschedule it. But the bigger question, what's it really doing for the city? Because clearly all the killings and all the shootings are not stopping.
And I agree to an extent with what you're saying, but I also don't like I understand what they're trying to do, and they're trying to get people's attention and trying to make people uncomfortable, because protesting doesn't work when people are comfortable. And it kind of goes to the same, bringing it to the NFL and the kneeling for the national anthem. It gets your attention. And so someone saying, go ahead and protest, but don't do it on Lakeshore Drive when there's a Cubs game, because I got places to be. Can't you do your little protest somewhere else?
Right.
That's not the point. And so I think it is a hard line, because I know that's not what you're saying, and that's certainly not what I'm saying.
Right.
But sometimes that's how it comes out, because the other thing is, what kinds of other problems or altercations or things like that is it going to cause in the meantime? I don't know the answer. Obviously, I don't know how to stop the violence. I don't know if this is working, but I don't care. If someone is getting out and saying, you know what, all I have is my voice and my feet, and this is what I'm going to do to say I'm not okay with this, then God bless you and keep doing it. And I think it's great. I don't know what the answer is. So, yeah.
I don't think anyone does. But like you said, I'm glad you brought up that point that it's put in the time to make people feel uncomfortable. And that's probably why they're doing it. Hey, let's disrupt this Cubs game and go marching down, and you figure out how to get there, because we got other bigger issues going on right now. So for that, kudos to them. But like I said, the bigger issue is, which we could talk about at a later date, is what is the marching? What is it doing? Has it helped anything? Has it stopped the killings that are going on in the city? My answer is no. So what's the next thing we got to do? But I don't have that answer, but it's definitely something we all should think about.
Definitely something to talk about in the future.
Absolutely. So lastly, in everything Chicago, we got to talk about Facebook here a little bit, because they're actually making a lot of big moves in the city, trying to, just add to the economy, give more job opportunities, and just a good thing to see. So right now, they actually just added and just signed a deal for another huge. They're already in Chicago downtown, but they're adding another huge office right downtown in the Loop, and can help expand for at least 2,000 more employees in the city of Chicago. So right now in 2018, it's actually the largest office lease signed in downtown Chicago in 2018, not including renewals or anything else. So they just signed a new deal. They're actually going to be on 151 North Franklin. They've been in Chicago, I think, since 2007. So with this added, space, obviously means Facebook's doing well. They actually want to grow, and I like the fact that there's getting more job opportunities for people in the city. I actually have quite a few friends that work for Facebook right now. So definitely keep on the lookout for opportunities there. I think it's just good to see that, the economy for Facebook's growing, and more opportunities are helping in downtown Chicago. I just want to see that money start flowing in other places of the city of Chicago outside of downtown, because obviously downtown has that money, but it's just not going to other parts of the city. But we all know that's never going to happen.
No, I think it's interesting that they're doing this. And what I think is funny is there's been speculation. Obviously, we've been talking about Amazon for quite some time, possibly moving here, some stories about Google expanding here. And so I think it's interesting to think, if you're talking about whether it's the tech sector, what you're doing, talking about it's kind of a race to kind of get your foot in here first of these big companies and have your first pick at the talent of the people here that you want, because there's so many people that are probably leading the industry here. So who's going to get here first and get their first pick of those people to have working for them is kind of interesting. So it'll be interesting to see if that's Facebook or Google or what's really going on.
You think it's a battle or what? 'Cause did Chicago get one of the finalists for Amazon or no?
I don't know.
I don't remember. I don't remember if we did or not. So I'm not sure if that's a play or what.
I think Amazon is still in play.
I think so. Actually, no. I think we're out. I felt like it was some other season. But I don't think Chicago's in it.
Okay, you keep talking. I thought it was in the article about Facebook was still talking about Amazon.
Yeah, I did see that, but don't fact check this. We could be way off here. We could be in the running,
but it wasn't a fact that Google has also made recent purchases to expand here as well.
I did know that, which we do have an office here downtown. I think they're in the Merchandise Mart, so it's cool to see. Like I said, I just want to see some of that money dispersed to other areas of the city. But it's obviously good for huge corporations like Facebook to expand in downtown Chicago. Like I said, it's more opportunity for people to make money and have a livelihood at a good company like that.
Absolutely. Okay, great talk. Great city of Chicago. What else do you got, B?
Let's pay some bills here before we get to show B&B your business.
All right.
All right. So this is one of our best sponsors, the Wrigley Report. So this portion of the episode is sponsored by the Wrigley Report. Cubs fans, if you're looking for the latest Wrigley renovations, updates, team news, player analysis, and overall Cub news, look no further than Wrigley Report, your number one source for all Chicago Cub news. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter on their handle at Wrigley Report. And once again, if you want to be a sponsor for the show, we're always looking for more. Please email us at alternativefactchicago@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Twitter, Facebook. We're always looking for, small to medium-sized businesses that we can help out, give exposure to. So hit us up and, we'll talk business. But for now, shout out to the Wrigley Report.
Shout out to Wrigley Report. And for the record, of course, I had to look because I had to know if I was right. This article does say that Chicago is still in the running for Amazon.
There we go. So maybe they're competing or something like that.
Officials in Chicago and 19 other North American locations.
There we go.
Are still in the running. Okay. So show me your business.
This is a good one. And we were kind of going through some options. And we had quite a few options of people and just questions that people asked. We wanted to make it with something that I think will be a good debate and we can get the listeners' opinions on, because this is a pretty interesting one. So if you hadn't heard in the media, Stevie J and Faith Evans recently tied the knot. So, with that being said, obviously Stevie J, even though it was back in the 90s, did have a lot of ties to Bad Boy Records, to Biggie Smalls. Obviously, Biggie passed away a long, long time ago. So this came us to thinking, and this was tied into one of the other questions we got. And I want to get your thoughts on this because I have some thoughts on this as well, too, B. But how long should a friend of yours, how long or permanently should a friend's ex be off limits? What's your thoughts on that?
My feelings are that, and this is a unique situation, as we said, being Biggie has passed away 20-some years ago. A friend's ex should be off limits permanently, except if they're dead. So in this case, I know there's kind of some uproar. I don't think that there's a problem 20 years later to be with your friend's ex if they've passed away, as long as no funny business was going on before. Like if there had been rumors that Faith had been with, okay, so there was rumors way back then of Faith and Tupac. If Tupac is still alive, then yeah, Faith shouldn't end up with Tupac because who knows what was going on when Biggie was still here. But this, you're talking 20-some years later. I don't think that she should be off limits just because someone might be a friend. So if I pass away and 20 years from now, one of my friends ends up with my husband, I'm okay with that.
No, that's weird, B.
That's weird?
That's weird.
That's weird?
You don't think it's a little weird?
I mean, that long later? No, I mean,
okay, maybe 20, 30 years, right, maybe.
Even 10 years. I think because he's dead, it changes. I think for me, death is what changes the story. So to me, I say, so to answer your question, how long should an ex be off limits? I say 5 years past death, everyone's fair game.
Okay, so that's the rule. 5 years past death. Okay, so what if they're not dead? What if, say, you broke up 5 years ago, but you're still alive?
No, if they broke up, if anyone, my friends even dated someone, I would never even look at them sideways.
Yeah, so that's my answer. I don't care if they're dead or not. I think it's just weird, honestly. Like, say, even if it's 15 years later, because you know that was your homie, and all of a sudden you're married to that person that your dead homie was married to. I don't know. I think it's just a little bit weird. Maybe not something that I would ever touch. But in regards to actually, messing with an ex or even hooking up with them once or dating them, I think overall, especially where we're at in 2018, if that's really one of your close friends, I think 1,000%. I think it's a no go, but I could be wrong on that because I've seen it happen in many, many situations. Many other relationships, I've seen people fall out because of it. More often than not, it's just never really a good idea. There's gonna be drama one way or another. Like whether it's from the girl, from the friends, whether it's girls that are friends, guys that are friends. It's just a little bit of a weird situation where I think they're 100% should be off limits, and that should be that. Like I feel like with a lot of my friends, when they had girlfriends, they become like almost or a fiance or a wife. They almost turn like a sister to you, like a big sister or a little sister or whatever it may have be. Really can't look at them in fact and say, oh, if they break up, I'm gonna hook up with you. Now I think it seems a little shady. It's gonna be drama. It's always gonna be drama. Even if the friend said that it's not gonna be drama, I just think that's a person that should always just be off limits.
So, B, you never hooked up with your friend's ex-girlfriend?
I mean, I won't say that I've never done that in the past. It doesn't make me right for it, but I don't think
All
that's
right.
the right thing to do. And I've
Gotcha.
lived a long life to where I've made some mistakes. I've done a lot of crazy things over the years to know what is right and what is wrong. So where I can be here now, in my early 30s and be able to tell people, hey, don't make the same silly mistakes that I did. No go, off limits. I don't think it's the right thing to do. But asking you, since you want to flip me and put me on the spot, have you ever done that or what?
Never.
Yeah,
Never.
see, I knew you
Now,
didn't.
you
You,
knew I didn't. See,
you've been
I'm
married for
predictable.
God knows how long, so you haven't had the chance.
I haven't. My friends had ex-boyfriends before I got married. What's funny, actually, my group of girlfriends I have now is still my group of girlfriends from when I was in middle school and high school. None of us have the same taste in guys. So it's always been so easy, whether we're out, whether you're talking about boyfriends and ex-boyfriends, or you're out at a bar or whatever, we all have completely different taste in guys. So there's never been like oh, I like him, but I like him. No way. So that kind of makes it easy. But I agree with you. I don't think it's a good move. But also find friends who have different tastes than you, and you don't have to worry about it.
The easier said and done. I like your concept, but that doesn't always happen.
Yeah, I know. I know. It just works. It works for
For
me.
sure. So yeah, let us know your thoughts on that. Like I said, I think it's a no go. I don't think it's a good idea. I've made that mistake in the past, and it actually turned out fine. I'm still friends with these people. It did really work out, and obviously wasn't meant to be. With the girl or whatnot. So I'm okay, but it doesn't always work like that. So I think it's a no go. You say only in the event of death.
Of death, right. And otherwise, I agree with you. It's not worth ruining a friendship over is really what it comes down to.
Absolutely. Let us know your thoughts. So we always get feedback. So we want to hear your thoughts and if you think it's okay or not.
All right. Let's get
And
to
let's
some
do
quick
some
hits.
quick hits and get to clown of the week and get out of here. What's actually no, I got this first one because I know you're gonna want to talk about this one since it's
Mm-hmm.
related to the NFL.
Oh.
But our boy Todd Gurley of the LA Rams, I'm a big fan. I think he's a great player. He gets his 4-year, $60 million contract from the Rams, where Le'Veon Bell, the Pittsburgh Steelers, did not get paid. What does this mean for running backs, and why won't Le'Veon Bell get his money?
I think there's a couple things to take into consideration with this specific comparison. Um, First of all, they're two different teams. They value different things. You and I had discussed before, and I feel like we're at a place where Todd Gurley might be setting the market here for running backs, but at the same time, a lot of teams don't value the running back position like that because there's so many of them coming out of college, good running backs. B, it's one of the easiest positions to transition from college to the NFL. So the learning curve is much smaller. C, so many NFL teams go with a multiple back system that you're not looking at the days of Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith where you have one workhorse and that's your running back. So all of those things play into the fact that running backs become more dispensable. In this case, I think the biggest issue, and I love my stats, the biggest issue is when you're looking at teams and their salary caps. Le'Veon Bell, who plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers, his quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger's contract takes up 12% of their salary cap. Todd Gurley plays for the LA Rams. His quarterback, Jared Goff, takes up 3.8% of their salary cap. So you've got to look at what these teams are working with, where they are in relation to their cap, and what other high-profile or big players on their team are taking up in terms of cap space. So in this case, I don't think it's a fair comparison to talk about Le'Veon Bell and Gurley just because of that difference in the way that their team's books look.
And that's a great researched answer. Overall, I still think it's bogus and BS that Le'Veon Bell did not get his money. That's a roundabout way of saying Pittsburgh's screwing up. And what's going to happen is he's going to leave after the season. He's going to get paid that same money he's wanted. Some team's going to pay him that money. If he can have a healthy season this year, somebody's going to pay him the money he wants, and the Steelers are going to be gone. I had a good, quick debate with my boy Brandon Carbino. What up, Bino? He was on our Alternative Facts Chicago page on Facebook, so find us on there because it's very engaging. But he was saying that the reason that they may not have paid Le'Veon Bell is they probably secretly didn't have the money, but didn't want to come out in a minute, which may actually be the case. They may not have had the money with other people. Like they got, obviously Big Ben, they got Antonio Brown. They're all making a lot of money, so maybe they didn't have the money to get him right now, which I think is bogus. I think they did, but they're seeing Le'Veon Bell being 5 years into the NFL. That's a lot of mileage on an NFL running back, where he may only have 2 or 3 more years. So I get it, but I think in good faith, they should have paid him the money, and he's going to leave, and you're going to be out of a running back. So, sorry, Pittsburgh. Good for the Patriots, though, because I'm more of a Patriots fan anyway.
Well, and that is what Pittsburgh is ultimately saying, is that they feel like he's replaceable. And when you talk about the money, what's interesting, you think of Big Ben, you think of Antonio Brown, but actually Cameron Hayward and Joe Hayden are making more money, taking up more salary cap than Antonio Brown is.
Exactly.
Now you really have 4 players taking up a huge chunk. So I agree with you. I think it's a money issue, and that's why I think the comparison's not necessarily fair, but agreed. I think Bell will be gone, and Pittsburgh is basically telling him they don't care. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right. So this week coming out, some weird news from your guy, Charlamagne the God, currently making a lot of waves in some comments he's made in regards to rape and date rape and things like that. And most recently, one of the things that came out was that he was talking about the first time that he had sexual relations with his wife, and mentioned that she was drunk and she hadn't given it up previously. And so he got her drunk and he had sex with her, and kind of was talking about the fact that maybe it was rape. What do you think?
So it was definitely a case of wrong word usage. His wife came on Breakfast Club yesterday and said that she definitely was not raped. Very consensual. She knew what was going on. He was just saying the fact that how drunk they were, it made it felt like rape, but it really, really wasn't. I think Charlamagne has just, in the past, especially on this podcast, you talk more freely on the podcast than you do on radio. A lot of times you may say things in the wrong context and it gets used against you. And he's had that happen a couple times. He's just at a point now where he's such a high figure. He just has to watch what he say. Definitely wasn't rape. He definitely should not be fired. People calling for that, no. His wife said it wasn't rape. So I think this is a dead story. But obviously, with all these old cases coming back up, he's going to take the heat for now. But it'll get swept under the rug, and I think he'll be okay.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think from his description out of his own mouth, it was rape.
We don't have time to talk about this, but 1,000% disagree. I think he just explained it wrong.
I don't know, and that's why I'm not joking. I'm not saying he should be fired. What I heard out of his own mouth, his description of what happened was rape. Now, whether he said it wrong or didn't explain it clearly, and listen, I'm the first one who says I say the wrong thing all the time.
Right.
Like I get that. I totally get that, and so I'm open to him clarifying himself. I'm not all over it one way or the other, but his words definitely were rape, and it's important that we're aware of what really constitutes rape and what doesn't, so
Absolutely.
that we can be educated, we can make good choices. So yes, if he's backtracked and come out and said that's not really what he meant, that's a different story. But the words that he used in the original description constitute rape. Right.
I think you got to look into the story deeper if you care or not, to really get the full context. But yeah, maybe we'll talk about that another week.
Sure.
But yeah, it sounds like he'll get out of it, and hopefully he does. But yeah, everyone out there, clearly the message of this week is just watch what you say anywhere. It may get used against you. So
absolutely.
Bristol Palin, she got hired for Teen Mom after Farrah was fired. Do you care or what?
I do care. I love Teen Mom. I hated Farrah. I'm glad she's gone, but I hate Bristol Palin. I don't want her on the show. She is absolutely not. She was a teen mom whose mom was running for vice president of the United States. I mean, it's ridiculous. So none of these girls are, I was talking to one of my girlfriends about this, and she goes, well, none of them are like regular people anymore. And no, none of them are regular people anymore. But when they first became teen moms, they were. So their experience as a 16 or a 17-year-old girl who had a baby were real life experiences of a regular 16-year-old mom, not Bristol Palin. So I don't care what Bristol Palin's experience is after having been a teen mom. So I'm pissed about it. I don't want to see her, and I hope they change their mind.
Yeah, I don't really care. The story didn't really interest me. I mean, I've seen Teen Mom off and on over the years. Obviously, it's always on MTV, so you just can't help but watch it since I do watch MTV. So it doesn't really sway me one way or another. A funny stat was that she's going to get paid $250,000 just for this upcoming season alone for Teen Mom OG. So that's a lot of money. And they said it could increase after, 1 or 2 seasons of being on the show. So they're paid, they're straight. It's all good. And having her on the show, obviously, it's a big name. It's a celebrity name. So that's the only reason that they're doing it. But otherwise, my day is going to go on with or without this show.
With or without stupid Bristol Palin. Okay.
She's pretty hot, though.
She's all right. As we talked about 2 weeks ago, Carmelo Anthony finally signs with the Houston Rockets for the veterans minimum. Will this help Houston this year?
So I think they were saying that it's almost a done deal. I'm hearing conflicting reports on whether it's a done deal or not. So I'm going to take it as it is, and he's planning on being there. But will this help Houston? I'm going to say no. And here's why briefly. They're taking less. Obviously Trevor Reeves is gone. Maya Mute's gone. They're going to have less defense there. Anderson's gone as well, too. That's even less defense there. I think where Carmelo can make a great impact is if he comes in and plays how he did with Team USA, to where either he comes as a 6-man and just really makes an impact off the bench, or even as a 4-man, but almost as a fourth option for the team and doesn't really care about being the man. If he's a fourth option, actually really accepts that role and caters to other people, I think he can do great. But overall, with San Antonio getting better, we're getting DeMar DeRozan, the Lakers are better, we're getting LeBron James. I don't think this makes Houston better. I think this takes them to a step back this season to where I don't think it'll overall be a good move. But what's your thoughts?
As I said, you thought I was thinking Houston needed I was just always interested in the fact that they wanted him for so long. I don't think it necessarily improves them over last year, but they were losing those players regardless. So I think he helps them more than if he didn't go there.
Right.
But I don't think it's an improvement over where they were last year.
Especially for that cheap. For $2 million, I mean, that's a steal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tiger Woods, my man Tiger Woods, y'all, he's back. He had a top 10 finish in the British Open this past weekend. Is Tiger Woods officially back or what?
I would like to have an opinion, but as you know, as a woman, my attention span is not long enough to watch golf. So I don't really know, Bihan. What do you think?
So I was on vacation, but I made a point to watch, his Sunday final round, and I missed most of it when he was in the lead. And by the time I watched it, he started to blow the lead. But he ended up in the top 10. And I put a stat up on Facebook, and so many people agree with me, just saying that when Tiger Woods is even in contention on the final day of a tournament, of a major tournament, everyone watches it. It makes it so much better. It's captivating TV. You want to see Tiger Woods. So, yes, I think he's back. He's getting closer to a win. He will win a major. Mark my words. He will win a major in 2019. He's playing a lot better, and to get a top 10 in the British Open is amazing. It's usually a very tough course, and the fact that he hung in there with Jordan Spieth, Greg McElroy, a lot of the big dogs were in it. He was right in the mix. So kudos for Tiger. It just goes to show you all you can hit rock bottom but come back. So kudos to Tiger.
Kudos to Tiger. And for the record, those who might be listening who don't always listen to us, I don't like golf because it's boring. In a previous episode, Bihan had mentioned that women don't have the attention span for it, which is obviously BS. So I don't want anyone thinking that I actually don't think women have the attention span for golf, because I'm sure some women love golf, and that's awesome.
There you go.
Shout out to the ladies.
There we go.
Okay, speaking of ladies, young ladies, whoever, what are your thoughts on this new R. Kelly song?
So I only listened to the 1.5 minute snippet because I didn't really care. And the only part that I heard was that, he said, I did it, I admit it. And that's all I really needed to know. I just wanted him to finally admit that he did it, because he affirmed we already knew. He's a rapist. He likes little girls. It is what it is. I don't care if he got raped in his past. It's very unfortunate. I can see how it happens to people. But I think if he would have came out and did this so long ago, it would have had him in a much better standing now. I think he's only doing this now because he's back into a corner. His whole team's left him. He's got nothing left, so sorry. And for those that still support R. Kelly after this, what is wrong with you? I've been on debates with people on Twitter about this. You just got to stop. It's not a good look. R. Kelly's got to go, and so do you.
Not me.
Not you.
I know. The people
you don't got to go.
I don't got to go. I didn't even listen to it, as you should not be surprised. I really don't care. It's disgusting. So R. Kelly
absolutely.
does have to go. I'll always love the remix to Ignition, but R. Kelly has to go.
Absolutely. So that's quick, kids. Let's get to some Clown of the Week and get out of here. And I always go first. I know you tell me that, so you can go first this time.
Let me go first, because when you're done with yours, I have to say,
Oh, God.
my Clown of the Week starting on July 14th, we talked about in a previous episode, the Supreme Court's rule on federal ban against sports betting. Starting on July 14th, sports betting was opened in New Jersey, and the FanDuel Sportsbook at the men's racetrack Tuesday night became my clown of the week. So apparently it was a pretty slow sports night, yet even since July 14th, the amount of money they've brought in on sports betting in a slow sports time has been amazing. So they're making lots of money off of this. However, on Tuesday, people are reporting that they were at the racetrack on their sports bet and there was a baseball game going on, and they report FanDuel Sportsbook ran out of money.
Oh my God.
It was people were holding winning tickets still as the baseball game ended, and they closed their windows and said there was no more money on hand, and people were furious. Since then, they've come out denying that, saying that all bets were made and that once 1 a.m. hit, they had to close their cages. I don't think it's true. They underestimated how much people were going to win, and they ran out of money, which is what they told people to begin with. That is not a good look for you, FanDuel Sportsbook at the Meadowlands. Shame on you for not having money to be up. They're lucky no one broke their knees. You are my fan of the week.
Fan of the week?
Clown.
There we go. They are clown.
They're my clown. Sorry, I got.
They definitely ran out of money though.
They ran out of money. How do you run out of money? I know you're just learning this. How do you run out of money? It is crazy. I don't know. But they're clowns. So that was mine. I told B, I'm like, don't tweet about it. I hadn't seen a lot on social media about it, which I was shocked because to me, this is a huge, I'm like, I'm telling you my clown of the week, but don't tweet about it because I don't want anybody to hear about it till I mention it because it is crazy.
There we go. I know, you were funny.
Okay.
Like, what was this going to go? Send out a tweet about it?
Sometimes
like,
you do.
Sometimes
I'll tell you my clown and then you'll tweet about it. I'm like, no, that was my clown.
No, I got you. I wouldn't.
All right, what you got?
Well, this clown is pretty easy to see coming about, and my clown of the week goes to Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys. And man, I love when the Cowboys are in the media for some of the crazy things because I don't know. I don't really think they're gonna have a good season. I think people are thinking they're gonna be better than they are, but we'll talk about that later. I don't want to get you worked up about the Cowboys. I know that'll change things very quickly. But Jerry Jones, he seems to me that he's not bending on his edict to the players that they have to stand for the national anthem. He thinks that, obviously President Donald Trump is bringing up the controversy as often as he does, and he thinks it's bringing more problems to the NFL. But he says his stance does not change. They made the ruling to where if you are out, on the field for the national anthem, you have to stand, but you have the option of staying in the back until the national anthem is over. Jerry Jones said that is not going to be the case for any of his players, that they all have to stand out there, toe on the line, and stand for the national anthem. It's not even an issue. They don't have a chance to. It's just something that they absolutely have to do. You're getting the clown of the week because right now you're basically taking a mandated order that was voted on and saying it doesn't apply for your team, which just basically shows that you run an organization that is purely dictatorship, that it is what it is. And that's probably why the Dallas Cowboys haven't won a single thing since the Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith days of the 1990s. I don't know how they're America's team when they haven't won anything. And I think the bigger problem is that Jerry Jones is still running that organization. He's running it like a dictatorship. I don't think he's running it properly. He loved Tony Romo until he was blue in the face when he probably could have moved on sooner. Just a lot of things going on that are pretty sketchy with Jerry Jones that we don't have time for. But the fact he's forcing his players to do this, well, deep down some of those players don't agree with it. But what can they do? Their voices are silenced. And that's the biggest problem where we're at. So right now, Jerry Jones, you got to get the clown of the week for that. And I think the Cowboys are not going to have a great season. I can't wait to talk about them more in the upcoming season. Yeah, what do you got? I know you got something to say, so go ahead. Let's hear your rant about the Dallas Cowboys.
No, well, I don't want you to make it personal that they're not going to have a good season because that's a different story.
Well, hey,
but Jerry Jones is a freaking he's not even a clown.
Yes, and isn't he part of the reason why you won't go to any of their games or anything like that?
Jerry Jones is single reason since last year. He came out with this statement last year, and it was before they kind of compromised, said you could stay in the locker room. But last year, when some teams were kneeling and some were not, he came out, basically said his players had to stand. And from that moment, I refused to spend one more dollar that will go direct to Dallas Cowboys until he is dead. I will not go to a game. We had tickets to a game in against Kansas City in November last year, which was the tickets were already purchased. The trip was already Texas prior to his statement. His statement came out prior to the game happening. I went there. I refused to eat nachos. If anyone knows me, knows that that is
God.
a big. I said, my family said, you're not going to buy anything. I said, I will not give him $1. Well, you're not going to buy nachos. For me to not eat nachos is a big deal. I did not eat one nacho. I did not have a drink. I will not. My poor Cowboys shirts. I see so many cute shirts.
Oh, God.
So many things I want to buy.
Going. Here we go.
I can't.
Oh, my gosh. This is going to be a long football season. I didn't know we were going to get into a rant about why you can't go to the Cowboys games.
I said, I ended by saying, and then I'm done. But Jerry Jones is a clown, and I agree with you.
I set you up for it every single time. You just fall.
You do on purpose.
Why do you get so worked up over the Cowboys? Do you need therapy? All right, guys, we're gonna put a poll. Does Brittany need therapy on the Dallas Cowboys? It's too much.
You go ahead and put that poll up.
It's too much.
Play this back and hear me.
I said one
when
thing,
you were done,
and I can just feel the heat rising in you. I can feel it. I'm not even with you. I just felt it
rising. You're a jerk. I clown of the week.
Oh, God. I love you, B. It's so funny.
Yeah,
it's going to be a long season. So how about we have to make a pact that on the days that the Cowboys lose, we can't talk about the Cowboys?
That's fine. Don't bait me. This is intentional.
It's so funny. I guarantee the listeners know what I'm talking about. I guarantee they know what I'm talking about.
What do you mean?
Just the fact how worked up you get. It's so crazy.
Oh,
man. What a funny episode, though.
Out of here.
Before we go, though, briefly, we should announce that we're actually going to be, I'll announce that we're actually going to be on Chicago Underground Radio. I think it's WCRX 88.1 on select Sundays. We'll be on there, and once we are for each episode, we'll make sure to announce it on the show and on our social media. So we just want to give a shout out to them. Thank you for the opportunity to be on yet another platform. It's definitely amazing. And then also, too, make sure you check out 247liveculture.com. They have revamped their entire website. All of our episodes are on there. Every single one that's posted is on there as well. So shout out 24/7 Live Culture. Also, we're always on Wild Dogs Radio each and every Thursday, I think at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. So we're on various platforms as well as all of our social media, as well as Spotify. So there's many, many ways to find Alternative Fact Chicago. So we're all over the place doing great things. And once again, as I always say, this is only the beginning. We got more guests. We're going to be on different shows coming up soon. We have a lot coming up for the fall, more big announcements, so we are here to stay.
Can't get rid of us that easy.
Absolutely. Anything else you got, B, before we get out of here?
No, that was it. Big thank you for Underground Radio for reaching out to us. And I did want to reiterate about 24/7 Live Culture. The new website looks amazing. It is so easy to find the podcast now and look for any episodes. It'll link you right to Spotify. So check out that website, not just for us, but for podcasts and articles and media. So, and Wild Dog Sports Radio. Thank you.
Absolutely. So we need to get out of here. So thank you, fans, for making us the #1 podcast in Chicago. Once again, Glapping Over was a great event. We'll be doing more work with them soon. And we'll be back next week for episode 54, getting to the end of the summer. It's been a great summer, but we got a lot of things in store for the fall. So make sure you stay tuned. So this is B. Hun. B. Chan, you got anything else? We're good to go?
We are good to go. Till next week.
All right. It's been a great episode. We love you. Alternative Fact Chicago is out. Have a good one.
Peace.